Hello and welcome. My name is Sean, sometimes known as The Beast, and this is going to be my 2023 Album of the Year list. Thank you to everyone that watches these videos and to the new subscribers I've had lately. Very much appreciated. As always, I love to interact with you in the comments, so if there's anything in this list that you like or dislike or just want to chat about in general, then please feel free to comment. Before I start my actual top 20, I've got 3 shout outs for 3 EPs that are easily some of the best things that's been released this year. Now, I can't include them in my top 20 because they aren't albums, hence that's why they're only EPs. So anyway, I'm waffling already. Here we go. First up is Lunar Chamber with their superb champalic vibrations. This to me is how you gain enlightenment through metal. The riffs, the melodies, the journey it takes you on, the enchantment parts of it. It's absolutely superb release. So if you haven't heard it already, I highly recommend that you do. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time chatting about all these because there's quite a lot. Next up, another EP. This one hasn't been out quite as long, but this is an absolute masterpiece. This is the latest release from the Malediction Boys after a 30-year hiatus. This is The Soil Throne, and this gets better with every single spin of it. They haven't just returned and done an album that was similar to what they had before. This is a band that you can tell have pushed themselves slightly out of the comfort zone and created an absolute beast of an album, a release. It is superb, and if this is the direction they're heading in, then the full length that supposedly, I think it's coming out next year, that is going to be absolutely belting. Again, if you haven't heard it, to be honest with all these, if you haven't heard any of them, then please try and find them and listen to them because they are superb, well, in my opinion, because it's my list. Now, the next one, again, it's an EP, but this is my favourite release of the year. And if it was one track longer, 2 tracks longer, it would be number 1, hands down. Since the very first second I purchased it and listened to it, it's just been superb. Absolutely blows me away. It is Penny Coffin and the release Conscripted Morality. Now, if you want to know what death metal, what modern death metal should sound like, then listen to this. This thing is heavy. It absolutely crushes. The riffs, the vocals, the production, I mean the artwork in itself is fantastic. It's probably my favourite piece of artwork for the year as well, to be fair. It's quite, it looks simplistic, but when you study it properly, this is superb. It's out on Mulch Records, on, well, the vinyl version is. I can't remember what the CD and the cassette. But if you haven't got a copy of this, if you haven't heard a copy of this, I highly recommend you head over to Bandcamp or Facebook, or you pinch your best mate's version of it. It is absolutely, for me, it's 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, whatever number you want to put out of 10. It is absolutely superb and deserves a lot more praise than it seems to get. It's brilliant. So, on that note, we'll head on to my top 20 long playing releases. First up is Cruciamentum. Whoa, good catch. Cruciamentum with Obsidian Refractions. This is out on Profound Law. It is a collaboration between UK and US gentlemen. This is death metal, a few doom influences in it as well at times. It's almost like a very imposing atmosphere to it that's quite unnerving, but it carries you along, and it's just full on, you know, no quarter asked for, no quarter given type thing. This is an absolutely superb release, and I would think if this had been released earlier in the year, it would have been higher in my list. Obviously it's only been out a couple of weeks, maybe a month, something like that, but since I got a copy of it, it's been spun quite a lot. So yeah, Cruciamentum Obsidian Refractions is my number 20. Number 19, slightly different genre, well, very different genre, is Church of Misery, Born Under a Mad Sign. Now, this is doom metal. It's on Rise Above Records. The gentleman from Japan. This album sees the return of the original singer, I think he was, and the subject matter is mostly serial killers, so if you're a fan of serial killers, it's slightly odd, but aren't we all? And this is just a superb release. Again, it's one, I didn't pick it up when it initially came out because for some reason I thought Church of Misery were a new metal band, and they really aren't a new metal band. They are a superb doom band, and it's got me intrigued enough that I need to track out down the rest of the discography to see how the changes are. But this, if you haven't heard this, again, you need to be picking a copy up or streaming it or whatever, but you need to hear it. Number 18 is a UK death metal band. It's out on Church Road Records and is Celestial Sanctuary and their Insatiable Thirst for Torment. Now, I saw Celestial Sanctuary in the early part of this year, and I was like, yeah, these boys know what they're doing. Well, having listened to this, these boys know what they're doing. They aren't trying to they aren't trying to be better than anybody else. They aren't trying to change things up too much, but this is crushing modern death metal done really, really well, and I can only see these guys going on to bigger and better things. It's just no nonsense death metal, you know. It grabs you by the throat, chucks you around a bit, and then leaves you thinking, what the bloody hell just happened there? I better go back and try some more. Superb release, which is why it's my number 18. Talking about bands that do what they do really well without trying to reinvent the wheel, this is Command. These gentlemen are from America. This is on the 20 Buck Spin label, and it is called Death Age. Now, I've heard a few people say, oh, it's very samey. I agree, it is very samey. But when it's as good as this, why would you try and change the formula? Why would you try and do something obscure and different? There are bands that do that, bands that do it successfully. Command don't need to do that. What Command have done here is they've released a death metal album that does what it says on the tin. It's death metal. It crushes, it's heavy, it's aggressive, it's violent, it's got riffs for days. It's an absolutely fantastic release. And again, it's another one that's span a hell of a lot in on the bass stereo. So again, as with all of these, I keep saying it, but if you haven't heard any of them, you deserve to treat yourself and go and find a copy and just listen to it, because they are absolutely superb. Now obviously it's my list, so I'm going to say they're all superb. Otherwise it wouldn't be on my list, would they? Next up, some death metal from Manchester in the UK. This is Fetal Juice and their album Grotesque. This is frantic, chaotic, and hooks for fun. It is a superb release. Now, I've only got it on CD because I don't think the vinyl's been released yet, but I will get it on vinyl because it is that good. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be number 16 in my chart, album the earliest. But these boys don't mess about. Again, it's modern death metal that's done really, really well, and you know what to expect within the first minute. It's superb. I can't really state enough. My vocabulary is not clever enough to use lots of big posh words, apart from the fact it kicks your head in. No messing, but well worth a listen. So yeah, Fatal Juice from Manchester. It's it's out on Gore House Productions, this one. Next up is a band that sort of seems to garner a lot of controversy for things that's gone in the past, and things that before I listened to them, so I don't get caught up in all that lot. To me, it's all about the music. The band in question is Dying Fetus, and it is their release, Make Them Beg for Death. This is out on Relapse Records. They're from the US, and this is Death Grind. This is unrelenting in its heaviness. It's thick and pummeling and disturbing. Again, it's just an album that they aren't messing about. They aren't trying to be your best friend. They put this on the stereo to kick your face in and leave you bleeding on the floor in a heap. And that's what death metal should be, or grindcore should be, or grind death, whatever you want to categorise it as. This is a superb release, to the point it actually surprised me. I enjoyed it more than I expected to. It is an absolute belter, hence being number 15. Next up, again, more death metal, but from the other side of the world this time. This is Altars and their Ascetic Reflection, available on Everlasting Spew Records. These gents are from Australia. There is atmospheric brutality, with the drumming is ridiculous, and there's part to it that's almost touching into black metal, black and death, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the artwork itself, I'll open it up fully. Look at the artwork. Again, this was bought purely because of the artwork. I was flicking through a few other things in the record shop, and ooh, like that. No idea what it was, but as a blind buy, I couldn't have picked much better, to be honest. It is number 14 in my list, and it could quite easily, well, in fact it was in the top 10 for quite a while. Then there was a few releases that just sort of elbowed it aside a little bit, like a little friendly punch in the ribs in the mosh pit type thing. But again, superb album, fantastic release, definitely worth listening to. Now this next one is, I just love everything about this, and again it's number 13, which is unlucky for some, but as far as I'm concerned, Scolopendra and VM18, again, this could easily be a top 10 for me. It's the vocals take a little bit of getting used to. It's got quite like a creepy type of voice, and it's not necessarily what you'd expect. So initially I was like, ooh, not sure about his vocals. However, the more I've listened to it, the more I've spent time with it and invested in it, the vocals just help it work. It's just everything about it. It's available on Nuclear War Now Productions. These gentlemen are from Italy. It's horror based, as you can tell by the horde of zombies attacking the lady with the big boobies. But it's frenetic and violent, but it's got groove. It's a little bit hard. I'm probably not doing it justice by the way I'm describing it, but this is an absolutely fantastic release. Now, I've got both of their albums now, and I genuinely can't wait to see what they do next, because as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be straight away pre-order whenever it comes available. Anything comes available. So yeah, if you've never heard these, be wary of the vocals, you know, give them a bit of a chance. Don't just listen to a song and say, oh, I don't like that. But yeah, it's superb, absolutely superb. So, number 13, Scolopendra with VM18. Number 12 is another UK band, this time thrash. It's released on Quality Control HQ Records, and it is Pest Control, Don't Test the Pest. This is a thrash metal hardcore crossover album that does nothing but absolutely smash you to bits. Leah, the singer, has got some of the best vocals ever. I've been lucky enough to see this band twice. So I'm at the start of the year supporting Undeath, and then a couple of months ago supporting Obituary. And the change in professionalism from the original show to this one, to the Obituary one, was absolutely phenomenal. This is a band that's going to go places. They are going to be a successful band. If they aren't, then there's something wrong with the metal community, because bands like this don't come along very often, and when they do, they should be given as much support as possible. They are absolutely superb musicianship, the technicality of the music, the speed and ferocity they play with. This is an absolute cracking album. And number 12, again, it could have been higher up. Just some of these other ones just slightly beat it, or not beat it as such, but had a few more spins there. Number 11 is the return of a band that was one of the first ones I started listening to when I first got into, well, when I decided to take the plunge into listening to death metal, about 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago, and it's the mighty Vomitory, and their latest release, All Heads Are Gonna Roll. This is out on Metal Blade Records, and if I say to you it's Swedish death metal, don't need to say any more. Is that all you need to know? This is an absolute belter. This is a return to form from gentlemen that I think they were away, maybe 12 years I think between the previous album and this one. This is just class. I love everything about it. Again, we saw them live not so long ago, and apart from one little moment when the singer spat his dummy out because some kid wanted to get on stage and jump off again, superb band. Really, really enjoyable band. All Heads Are Gonna Roll, bit of a formulaic type of, you know, title, but yeah. The actual track itself, it's not bad, but you know, it is a really, really good album. And again, it probably would have been slightly higher, but personally, the top 10 are better. But again, it's certainly not a bad album. It's an absolute beauty. I wouldn't have put it on the list otherwise. So, after all the murder, death, kill and angry, violent, shouty, thrashy stuff, I thought we'd put this one. Now this is Dorothea Cottrell and her release Death Folk Country. This came out on Relapse Records. She's an American lady who's probably best known for being the vocalist in the doom band Windhand. Now Windhand are superb. Dorothea Cottrell's voice is superb. This album is superb. This is, yeah, I can't think of a better way of describing it than just by reading the title again. Death Folk Country. This has got such she's got such a haunting voice. I don't know if melodious is a word. If it isn't, then it should be, because I've just used it. But there's textures to this, and almost like a combination of styles all put into one release, and she does it so well. again, using the word palate cleaner is a little bit possibly disrespectful, but if you've been listening to stuff that smashes you to within an inch of your life and you need a bit of a breather, you wouldn't go far wrong by picking this up. This is a superb release, and this gets spun a lot, which surprised me a lot more than I thought it would. Again, I think it was Johnny Mac I saw it on first, and I thought, yeah, he's got decent taste to a point. We'll give it a spin. Absolutely superb, fantastic release, and that's why it's number 10. Now, number 9 was, for a long time, I fully expected this to be my number 1, and this is Coffin Mulch on Spectral Intercession. This is on At War with False Noise even. This is Scottish death metal, and I don't know what they put in the Iron Brew in Scotland, but the death metal scene up there is fucking stupendous, and I cannot wait to go at the Dead of Winter Fest up there next year in January. If you haven't got a ticket yet, get one and we'll have a beer. This is death metal that crushes. This is death metal that has a killer rhythm section. This is death metal that is thick and heavy, and this is death metal with Al's vocals. And I've heard a lot of people saying, nah, it's too shouty, it's too hardcore. What I'd say is, listen to this album, if you can, without Al's vocals, and this is a flawless death metal album. But there's a lot of other albums exactly the same. You put Al's vocal style on top of this, and for me, personally, I think it makes the album even better. There's something so different from the normal guttural vocalists. Obviously, we all love guttural vocals, but when Al does his shouting and his singing, to me, it adds to it. Now, again, people say it detracts from it. I don't think it does. And when you see him live, you'll see why. I think vocally live, it's exactly the same as the record. I mean, the artwork is stupendous, inside and out. But more importantly for me, the music is just absolutely first rate. It is a fantastic release, to the point that I actually own every single version of this that you can get. Yes, I know that's showing off, and yes, I know it's pointless, and you don't need 13 copies of the same disc or cassette or CD, but I wanted them because bands like this still don't get the support they deserve. None of these bands do, to be fair. Our music in general doesn't get the recognition it deserves. So when all these underground distros and labels are putting out stuff, if you can, stick your hand in your pocket and buy something. Doesn't have to be a lot, doesn't have to be everything. And then when you do buy stuff, you get treated to something that sounds like this. And it's just, again, it's been spun God knows how many times. So that is why number 9. Number 8 is slightly different for me. I've said several times I'm not the biggest black metal fan in the world. However, these gentlemen don't seem to be able to do any wrong for me. This is Blut. The album is called Disharmonium Nehab. It is the second part of the Disharmonium story. I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy or whatever. But this is, it's out on Debemure Morty Productions. The gentlemen are from France, and this is avant-garde black metal, and one of the creepiest things I've ever listened to. Now, on the rare occasion that Mrs. B's watching some shy on telly, which is pretty much every day, I quite often can be found with my headphones on and get immersed into an album. I can't even see if you can see that. It's like one of those Where's Wally fucking moments. But the artwork is superb as well. This is so disturbing and creepy and atmospheric and haunting and melodic and violent, and it's just a superb release. And this was #1 in my album list for probably until 3 weeks ago, when I actually sat and spent more time with everything, because I kept picking this up and thinking, how do you top this? In black metal speak, you don't, for me personally, but there's some stuff down there that's not black metal. But again, if you want to listen to an album that'll freak you out, I mean, look at the artwork. When you turn around saying that fucker stood behind you, yeah, you're not going to go and give him a hug, are you, and say Merry Christmas. You're going to be off. Right, #7 is where all my street cred goes out the window, because she gets ridiculed all the time by the metal community because she's not metal. I couldn't give a toss. As far as I'm concerned, she could do no wrong. This is the latest release by Muka, called Spine. It's out on Relapse Records. She's Danish, that's a very shiny cover, and for me, the vocals that Amelie has are just superb. She's got the ability to take me somewhere that you don't want to come back from. Oh, I don't personally. I think she's an absolute genius at what she does. Now, I know the elitists will say, yeah, she's not black metal. I've never once seen or read her claiming to be a black metal artist. She's a musician. She's an artist. She's a fucking genius. Now, this hasn't been out very long, or this would have been, it probably would have been #1. I know I've said that a few times, but if you ask me in 6 months' time how many times I've spun any of these, I would guess that this will be #1 for number of spins. I absolutely love this album. But again, I'm very biased because I love everything she does. And I finally got tickets to go and see her next year in Manchester. So that makes me happy. And that's why she's #7. #6 is UK death metal. That's, yeah, you need to hear it. I haven't seen many people give this as much love as it deserves. This is 7 Doors and their Feast of the Repulsive Dead. It's out on Redefining Darkness Records. This is horror themed death metal done so well and so talented. Ryan, I think he's called. This is just start to finish flawless. And the top 6 records, honestly, they could change position. If I film this video in half an hour's time, they might be in a different order. This is everything you want in a modern UK based death metal album. It is superb. If you're a fan of horror movies and you're a fan of death metal, then we're probably going to be friends. But more importantly, you're going to absolutely love this. If the zombie apocalypse ever happens and Lado is in the background, he'll have his Sony Walkman on, blastering this, and you'll be thinking, yeah, someone's going to get their head kicked in. Superb release, absolutely superb release. My #6 of the year. Talking of zombie apocalypse, which is a very tenuous link, but you know, not bad for an amateur. #5 is The Mighty. Incredible. Don't need much to be said about them. Eternal Rot. And their new release, Moribund. This is out on Memento Mori. This is the gentleman, it's a Polish and UK collaboration. This is the soundtrack to the zombie apocalypse. As Lado on the other one's walking forward with his Sony Walkman, these guys will be behind him, getting ready to stove his head in, eat his neck, rip his throat out. The artwork, obviously, is by the genius that is Mark Riddick. And, I mean, look at that. That's the three guys transformed into zombies by Mr. Riddick, and he has just done. It suits the music perfectly well. It is an absolutely stellar release. Now, I know there's a couple of people saying, it's only an EP. It's over 30 minutes long, and when you put in Discogs, it comes up as long player. So, ergo, it's a long player. So it's an LP. So it's an album. So it's in my list. This is superb. I cannot express in words how amazing the vocal performance is in this. The vocal performance in this sounds like he's already had his throat ripped out by a zombie, and the noise isn't actually coming out of his voice box, it's coming out of just below his voice box, because that's all that's left. It is absolutely brutal. It's guttural, it's slow, it's doomy, it's horrendous, but it's fucking brilliant. Apologies for swearing, but it is that good. And that's why it's number 5. Next up is somebody that needs very little introduction, but I will, because he is so talented, it's ridiculous. Mr. James McBain, also known as Hellripper, and they released Warlock Scream and Withered Hags. This came out on Peaceville Records. This is blackened, speed, thrash, whatever category you want to put on it. But I implore you that you get a copy of this and listen to it. This is unrelenting majesty from start to finish. There's not one single second of this record that's wasted, unless you clown the little bit of time in between, like in between tracks where the groove goes. This is absolutely a superb release. And again, if you ask me tomorrow, this will probably be number 1. If you ask me in 20 minutes, it might be. This is an album full of hooks and riffs and just pure craftsmanship. It is superb. And as I've said before, I recommend all these albums. But if you only take away one from you, then you won't go far wrong with this. If you don't fancy going down the proper deathy, growly, kick your face in stuff. I'm not saying this doesn't kick your face in. This kicks your face in twice, just in a slightly less violent manner. This is superb, absolutely superb, flawless. 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10, whatever you want. That's why it's number 4. Number 3 is a lot different to everything else I've shown. This is Death Pill and their self-titled debut. These ladies are from the Ukraine. It's available on Cargo Records, and this is punk, thrash, crossover, hardcore. This is aggro. This is power. This is violence. This is fucking superb again. This is an album that I have spun countless times, and I bought it on the strength of one track, and I can't even remember which track it was. I think it was Would You Marry Me? There's a video out for it. Now if you listen to that album, that song, or watch the video, you think, what the fucking hell was he smoking that day? Never smoked, so I wasn't, and I hadn't even been at the pub either. This is a pure aggressive assault on all your soft organs, all your major organs, all your organs, brain, everything. It is superb. It's so catchy and so... there's a feel-good factor to it as you sort of getting your skin peeled off your ears. It's superb. I honestly absolutely love this. And again, interchangeable with Top Spot. time after time. I think next year's album of the earliest will just be my favourite 20 albums, but not in any order, because this is absolutely superb. It's proper groove, thrash, punk, hardcore crossover. It's a brilliant, brilliant album. So, the nitty gritty. Down to the last two, and even now I've got them both sat here and I'm thinking, do I swap them round? But I won't, because my notes are in front of me and they're all written in writing. Written in writing? What else would be written in? Dickhead. This is Claustrum and they're self-titled, full length. This is out on Unorthodox Emanations. This is Italian death metal, and if you can see how amazing that artwork is, the music that is played by these guys is identical. It is foreboding, dank, not cavernous, I wouldn't say cavernous, but it's quite doomy. It's a very punishing metal. I mean, it's heavy as balls. This is, again, it's a release that bought on a whim, just because I like the artwork. I should have made a note of it, actually did the artwork. But this is, again, it's another flawless album. This is death metal done as death metal should be. You know, no reinventions of the wheels and stuff like that. This is just superb. I don't know where these guys are going to go next. I don't know if they'll be able to top this. If they do, then straight away it'll be, whatever year it comes out, it'll be my album of the year, because this is absolutely incredible. Easy to get hold of, so do yourself a favour, get hold of it, because it is worth it. It's absolutely brilliant. Which leaves me my #1 album of the year, and I haven't got it on vinyl. Now, I believe when it was pressed on vinyl, there was only 100 copies done, and I still don't think anybody who was lucky enough to snag one has managed to get theirs delivered yet. I'm sure Johnny Mac said the other day his hasn't come. But anyway, the band in question are Vomit Heist. The album is called Necro Funeral. It's out on Transcending Obscurity. The band are from Switzerland, and it's death metal, obviously. However, if you're a fan of the HM2 Boss pedal and the sound that creates, you will absolutely cream your abs with this, because it is dripping in it. And that's the only, not the only reason, but that's the reason this is #1 above Claustrum. This is, without doubt, one of the heaviest things I've heard for a long time, and it's brutal. It's got riffs, it's got hooks, it's got the buzzsaw guitar sounds that you associate with the HM2 pedal, but more than anything, it's got an attitude that says, you're going to like me, and if you don't like me, I'm going to come and find you and pull your ears off, piss in the holes, sew your ears back on, and then you'll like me. It is absolutely, without doubt, a superb release. I will get this on vinyl eventually, even if I have to meet Johnny Max when he gets it, because I'm bigger than him. But yeah, this is, honestly, this is, the vocals are brutal. The production on this is absolutely spot on. It suits this record down to the ground, and it's the HM2 dripping off out of every single part of it. It's just, is it too much HM2? Is there such a thing as it too much HM2? Personally, I don't think there is. That's why this is #1 for my releases this year. So, if you stuck with me, thank you very much. Hopefully there's something in here that you maybe haven't heard, or you've glanced at and thought, meh, maybe not. Thank you again for the new subscribers, people that watch my videos and comment. Please drop down in there, and if there's anything you think, well, what have you put that there for, or why haven't you put this there, and please let me know. Now, in the background, I won't say much about it because you don't need to. Sepultura beneath the remains. It's just them in it. It's flawless. It's an album that's stood the test of time and will continue to do so, regardless of if you're a fan of Sepultura, or the new Sepultura, or whatever. This is an album worthy of being called one of the best thrash albums ever, in my opinion. That's it. So, thank you very much for watching. However you celebrate this festive period, do so with lots of love and care with your family. Get absolutely hammered, listen to loads of heavy metal, and we might see you before the next new year, but if not, we'll see what 2024 brings. Cheers!